Hello and welcome to episode 3 of the Dig Site podcast. My name is Danny and I'm joined once again by Mr. Ben J. Marsh.
Good evening.
And the insightful, enigmatic, the nameless king himself. It's just Greg.
Why did we do this?
In this episode we're going to be talking Stranger Things 2 and Thor Ragnarok. So I'm going to say spoilers for both those films right now. If you haven't seen them, don't go any further. A couple of weeks ago, Stranger Things 2 came out. I absolutely loved this show. Greg, what do you think?
Yeah, I feel the same. I think it links back to a lot of kind of childhood things that I watched in the past. Love it. I love this season. Love last season. Bring on season 3.
There's a lot of this kind of 80s Stephen King type stuff lately. It's a really cool atmosphere. Stranger Things 2, arguably better than the first one. I'm not sure.
I don't know. I think for me, maybe on par.
Mm-hmm. Ben, what are your thoughts?
Well, having actually now watched Stranger Things 1, finally caught up with it with you guys, I really enjoyed both. Season 2 felt like it delved a little bit more into the Upside Down and what else can go on in there, with the giant sort of tentacle mist.
The Mind Flayer.
Yeah, that's what it's called. Very interesting sort of concept. It kind of looks like, I know it's obviously from another dimension, but it sort of resembles that sort of alien head, the long head that faces backwards, some sort of nightmarish sort of...
Looks like something in the Cloverfield, doesn't it?
Yeah, a little bit.
That kind of reminded me of that. I guess that's something that might be interesting. How did you feel watching them back to back in terms of the genre? Because when I've always talked about like season 1, I've always felt that it was kind of a big mismatch of genres. Like there's a bunch of different things, like a coming of age story and like a mystery and a thriller and whatever else. And I think that the majority of those are still present in season 2, but not in the same sort of structure, in the same way. I think it was a little bit less of a mystery. I think. What do you think? I mean, Ben, I guess especially.
Honestly, I felt it just sort of expanded on what Series 1 had done. So obviously you had the relationships between characters developing, between Nancy and Jonathan rather than Steve. Obviously it seems like they've now sort of parted and it's more just part of a friend zone character in there.
I wasn't crazy about that development personally. I thought it was a little forced, if I'm honest. Yeah. And not in the way that they did it as such, because it actually did feel pretty natural, but I get the feeling that it wasn't necessarily where the creators or writers originally wanted to go. That's just the vibe I get. Because I know a lot of fans wanted that pairing from the first season.
I disagree. I think at the end of Series 1, obviously it just seemed like she ended up with Steve.
I mean, some time had passed and between.
Yeah, absolutely between the two. But at the end of Series 1, she didn't seem like it was. She was cross-minded as to what she wanted. It didn't seem as though she was set on Steve. It just kind of ended up that she was with Steve. Jonathan appeared to be sort of still having the same feelings.
I don't know.
And I knew that there was something going to be going on.
Yeah, I thought at the end of season 1, I thought that it was kind of after all the shit that's happened and obviously all the stuff that Steve had done, prior to actually becoming Mother Hen Steve in season 2, who I love, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, so prior to all that, Steve did a lot of dickish things and she still stuck with him. Mm-hmm. So that suggests to me that, her mind is made up.
Exactly.
Like, this is what she's chosen. What's his face was being a really nice guy the entire way through. Oh, really understanding, really caring, sharing this experience with her. And she that scene at Christmas at the end of season 1, she seemed to be pretty happy with Steve. And I was okay with that.
Yeah, that's how I felt.
It was kind of like, okay, well...
You mean when they were on the couch? He sort of got his arm around her. I felt the opposite. I thought it was a bit forced.
I felt with that scene in particular, I felt, yeah, it's a little out of the blue, because it's like, okay, she's just shared all this thing with, what's his name?
Jonathan.
Sorry, she just shared all this thing with Jonathan. Yet she's still gone back to Steve, who's been a dickhead for the majority of the season. So I thought that was a little bit weird, but I kind of accepted it because this is the decision she's made. This is the.
I didn't feel weird about it.
And to kind of
this show's really good in how it uses its characters, because like in this weird and wacky world, you know, where there's not a lot of realistic stuff going on, obviously with the whole interdimensional stuff, but it's actually quite grounded in how it uses its characters.
Yeah.
Throughout the whole first season, you know, she's crazy about Steve, and he's a dick, but she sees something in him, and
I see
despite
what you mean.
all the shit that he does, and like just because she went monster hunting a couple times with Jonathan, doesn't mean she's gonna suddenly fall in love with Jonathan. Even though I guess that's what a traditional film or TV show would kind of go for that, but this one didn't. And I think because of how many people because people were so vocal that they wanted that relationship, I think they've gone and done that for that reason. So I wasn't as much of a fan of that in season 2.
But bear in mind as well that it gave birth to Mother Hen Steve. He was allowed to move into that area.
It did, and it was very good.
This is the best thing to happen to the series.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with it.
Who would have thought in season 1 we would have got a Steve and the kids pairing? It worked so well. I loved it. Yeah. Steve is one of the best characters. His hair's getting bigger with every season, though. It's gonna be huge next season. And again, what I said about the characters, this I love the way it uses its characters. There's few one-dimensional characters. These characters have layers, you know. Hopper's a great guy, but he has his issues himself, and Eleven can be a little bit of a bitch, if I'm honest. You know, I'm trying to think of some examples. Like Lucas in season 1, I thought he was kind of insufferable. He was a dick through most of season 1. But I mean, he was through jealousy, and Mike had the same thing kind of going on in this season. But I think, you know, Steve is the shining example of character development in this show. Obviously through his arc in season 1 to the bully, into this awesome great dude that he's in season 2, and they kind of do it again with this season's bully in Billy. Yeah. He was just horrible throughout the whole thing, and then there's that scene towards the end. I think it's the last 2 episodes. When his father shows up, and like that whole thing just had me rooting for him.
No, not at all.
For Billy.
Oh, he did for Billy when his dad came in, and he was just this horrible narcissistic fucking piece of shit father who just kind of took pleasure in putting him down and in front of his girlfriend and calling his date a whore or whatever he called her. And he was just horrible. So he's like, oh god, you can kind of see where he's getting this stuff from. And I don't know, that made me kind of root for him a little bit, to the point where when he rolled up at Mike's house and was talking to Mike's mom, I was like, yeah, go on, man.
I didn't feel that way at all for him.
No,
with Steve in season 1, he redeemed himself through his actions. He actually did, helped out at the end. Whereas this guy,
I'm not saying. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I should clarify. He didn't redeem himself at all. He was a jerk till the end. But there was that part of him where it was like, oh god, I actually really felt for him in that moment.
No, I didn't feel any sympathy. I think that he maybe has some reason behind the reason how he is, but ultimately he is who he is because of himself. No one else is controlling what he has to.
Yeah.
He's just a cunt. Oh, sorry, I've got that out. He's a dick.
No, I like cunt. Cunts are plenty.
Keep the cunts in.
Yeah, this is the Dig Site Cunt cast. It's good.
Yeah. No, I didn't. I wasn't a fan of him.
What did you think of Eleven's solo episode towards the end of the season, where she kind of went off on her own little journey and found her sister?
Not the greatest at all. It was nice that it was nice of them to try and create more story than what's going on, obviously, within the town. We get introduced to another number. Is it 8, I think?
8.
Yeah.
She's in the room with 11 when they're really young children. 11 sort of has memories of her, and ends up tracking her down in her own little episode. But the change to sort of dyed hair, goth look, sort of finding herself, and then realizing, no, this isn't right for me, and just heading back. It was a bit sort of not necessary. It could have been without. You could have just had 11 turn up with.
I think the show could have gone on and been the same without it. But I didn't mind it so much because she's been going through that journey throughout this entire season of kind of feeling like she doesn't belong, being frustrated with her living conditions with Hopper. And stuff like that. So she keeps trying to break away from it, and then she does, and then ultimately, realizing that that was her home, and she was happy there, and it wasn't all bad. I liked it.
I think it
Greg?
was, I understand why they put it in there. I understand what they were trying to do.
Yeah.
As in, they were trying to do some world building and also some character building on Eleven's behalf.
Yeah.
I don't think it really, I wasn't a fan of the episode. It was the weakest, probably by far, of the actual season.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It was just not really interesting to me. I think that there's potential there to explore these other characters and to explore what powers these other guys had and what treatment they actually got when they were under when they were kids or whatever. But I don't know. It felt divorced from everything that we've seen in this season and everything we've seen in the past season. It just felt like
a filler. It felt like a filler episode.
Just too divergent from everything else that's gone on.
I get that.
I didn't hate it, but it just didn't do much for me. And I think ultimately, when it came back to the scene, was there any scenes? I can't really remember all too well. Were there many scenes interspersed back in Hawkins?
During that episode, no, I don't think so.
I don't think there was.
So it was just entirely right. Okay.
Other than when she kind of did her mind thing and then saw them in trouble.
Sure.
And that's what made her want to come back.
And I guess, like I said, it's world building in the regards of introducing other numbers, but it's character building for her because, like you said, she's finding out, where she thinks she belongs and who she belongs with. There was that door open at the end of season 1 where her mum was still out there, but they seem to have closed that because her mum's obviously too far gone.
Yeah.
And I like that part though. I like that her mother was able to communicate with her.
Sure, yeah.
I like that idea, that concept, but I think they could have done a lot more with that.
Yeah, and I think the weakest part were just the other characters in it. Like
it was.
I completely agree.
The punk guy and just.
Yeah,
I didn't like these characters. I didn't. Root for them. Yeah, they're going killing people who were just doing the jobs. And I mean, they might have been arseholes, but they're just doing the jobs. I didn't root for them at all.
Yeah.
So you're watching 11. Crush. Yeah, watching 11 be all rebellious and shit. Oh well, she's. But it's just this is dumb.
Again, it was almost like because 11's screen time was like reduced because she was in that cabin and not interacting with the lads in the town, that they had to give her a full episode in a sense to give her some small screen time in series 2. Or interact with some people, and whether it was new or old or whatever.
Yeah,
it felt like that's the way they had to go. Otherwise, 11, in a sense, in that series was almost non-existent till the last episode.
Yeah, I think they need to pay a little bit more attention to 11 in particular because, in the first season, ultimately she's a plot device.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, she's got character to her. She's not just a blank slate, but she's a plot device. And if they're going to stick with this plot device, sounds awful keep referring to it like that, but if they're going to stick with it, then they need to build her up. And the girl, Millie something, whatever her name
Millie
is,
Bobby Brown.
clearly a talented young girl.
Uh-huh.
Maybe doesn't get to stretch her legs as much as she could with a character like Eleven that has a kind of limited vocabulary.
Yeah. Friends don't lie.
Yeah.
Over and over again.
I I'm invested in her character. More so because of her connection to other characters. Because
Mike.
I do like, Mike, mainly Hopper, who's my favourite character. Season 1, Season 2. Yeah. So I'm invested in her character mainly because of her ties to other people, and obviously her ties to the Stranger Things, the aspects of the world.
Yeah.
Yes, see where it goes.
Have you seen that David Harbour, who plays Hopper, is cast as Hellboy in the new upcoming Hellboy movie?
I didn't. I think I've seen a screenshot.
Yeah, there's a promotional shot of him in the full suit and the makeup and everything. He looks fucking awesome. He's got the chin for it.
Isn't he really ripped as well in that screenshot?
Yeah, he is.
Really, really muscly.
Yeah, I don't know if that's him or the makeup or what, but he looks badass. He looks really, really cool.
We'll have a look.
Yeah, look it up.
Ignore the tapping.
Yeah, he looks absolutely badass. As well as that, do you remember the character from season 1? I think episode 1, guy in the diner who 11 tried to steal from. He took her in.
Oh, and he got killed. Yeah.
And they got killed by the dicks at the lab.
Yeah.
He played Taserface in Guardians 2.
Taserface.
Taserface.
That's a shocking name. Still shocking.
It's metaphorical. Loved it.
Love that movie. Brilliant movie.
As we were talking about the 11 Sister episode, there was that moment where 8 kind of gives her that vision of Brenner, or Papa. Is that true? Do you think he's alive? Do you think we'll see him again in a future season?
So, what happened to him in season 1? I know that he was killed.
Well, you don't see him killed. You see him pounced on by the.
I was actually doing the
Demogorgon.
I was doing air quotes when I said killed. Then obviously you can't see that.
Yeah,
he got killed.
This is an audio podcast.
Go on. So what?
Yeah,
sorry.
he gets pounced on by the Demogorgon, and that's the last you see of him.
Right. I would assume he's dead.
Assumed dead, but yeah.
Yeah.
But if anything, like Game of Thrones tells you, you don't presume anything until you actually see it. But
well, of course, that guy who they were trying to kill said that he was still alive. So I wonder if he's to be believed. He's a good villain, that Brenner character. You didn't see too much of him in season 1. I'd like to see more. He could be a really good human antagonist.
Yeah.
I liked the Doctor in this one though. I preferred him, to be honest. Sam Owens.
He was
a nice guy. Yeah, he wasn't.
Yeah.
Not an antagonist.
Just trying to.
Oh my god! Like we've gone 20 minutes now talking about Stranger Things, and we haven't even mentioned Bob. Sean Astin, Bob the Brain. Oh my god!
Justice for Bob.
Sam.
Justice. Samwise. Oh man, he was so good in this, man. I love Sean Astin. He was really, really good. Such a nice guy. He didn't deserve that, man. Poor Bob.
You could really see it coming, though, couldn't you?
Oh, absolutely.
As I was just saying to Ben before this, you knew that they were going to have to kill somebody off, and they're not going to kill the existing characters off, because these are the guys that are driving the series, and you're not going to kill the kids. Yeah. So who's it going to be? It's going to be fucking Bob. Not Bob.
Not Bob.
Being a hero, Bob as well. Bob the hero. He's like going down to restart the switches and fuses to get all the lights and power back on. And being directed over his little headset walkie-talkie with his headphone dangling down like he's some sort of cool dude.
I wonder if Radio Shack paid for that promotion. That's probably a pretty decent. That's probably a decent media exposure, that isn't it?
I don't know. Are Radio Shack still in existence? I know that was big in the 80s. I don't know.
No, I would have thought so.
Yeah, Bob was a great character. Such a nice guy, nerd. Yeah, he was absolutely great.
I was devastated though. Was when when Will was and he started forgetting his memories, sat in the hospital bed, and the first thing he comes up and he's like shocked to see him. He's Bob. It's like who's that?
Yeah, I didn't remember him.
I was like, oh, I felt so sorry for him. Not for Will, for Bob. It's like he'd been proper bonding with him and bought him all these little sort of puzzles and things to keep him feeling good and happy. And Will. Oh God, Mike. Will. What am I about? Will was getting on so well with Bob, and then just to see it all sort of dashed away and been like, nope. If you're gonna do anything, you have to start again.
Yeah. Speaking of when we were talking about one-dimensional characters, Will is probably the most one-dimensional character of the main cast.
Yeah.
Not obviously. Yeah, well, that's the thing, isn't it? So he wasn't in the majority of season 1. And this time he was asleep or knocked out or drugged.
Yeah.
Jesus, they drugged that kid. Yeah, he's probably gonna have growth issues afterwards. They fucking dose that guy up. Yeah. So he's probably
got a feel for him as an actor.
Yeah.
You see him on talk shows on Jimmy Fallon, and he's there with them, and he's barely had to actually act alongside them, really.
Yeah. So what have you done this season? Well, I sat in a bed and pretended to sleep. Yeah. It's been great.
Yeah. Maybe next season he won't have to play a victim.
I hope so.
Get stuck in.
I don't think we need to keep exploring because now this rift is shut.
Yeah.
Allegedly shut. Quotes again, you can't see that. Now that this rift is allegedly shut, then we don't need to keep exploring the Stranger Things through the medium of Will. So that'll allow him to actually, play
a character.
Play as much of a part as all the other young lads. I guess the boy who had a lot of involvement in last season and didn't do this season was Mike. So Mike was a lot less involved, I thought, this season. He was the most important kid last season, I would have thought.
Yeah, I'd say so.
So I want to see exposure for all of these guys equally, despite Dustin being my favourite. I want to see exposure for all of them because I think they're all talented actors, and I think there's a story to kind of explore with all of them. But obviously, it's been very skewed for the past.
It was a bit more Dustin, Lucas, and Max. Well, the new introduction of Max in this series, wasn't there? So I think it was them three that kind of had the primary roles.
And I thought she was very good as well.
Oh, yeah, I liked her. I think she was very good.
Yeah.
Lucas with his starting relationship with her, and Dustin with his introduction of Will's little God no,
I can't do
Will's little child, cute child from the end of series 1 with his little pollywog.
Dart,
yes. Little sort of tadpole looking.
D'Artagnan.
Tadpole.
That's a Demogorgon, isn't it?
Yeah, baby one.
Demodogs.
Demidog.
I love the way he explains it. He's like, Demogorgon? Dog? Demodog?
Yeah. Dustin's great, man. They had me almost in tears at the end of the season where he was at the dance and nobody wanted to dance with him.
Yeah, it was heartbreaking.
Really
Absolutely.
felt for her. Nancy saved the day. But yeah, that was really heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Do you know who I see Dustin growing up to be? Philip Seymour Hoffman. That's the kind of younger version I honestly see in Dustin. I think he's going to be quite a comedic sort of or play serious roles in the future.
Okay.
I see comedy in his future. Yeah. I really do.
I certainly hope so.
He's got great comic timing. He's fantastic. I mean, they're all so good. I think Finn's going to do very well. Finn Wolfhard, as he goes forward, he's a very good actor.
I think he does plays at the moment, doesn't he? He was on like Jimmy Fallon or something, and he was commenting that he was involved in like different plays. Oh yeah, I'm going to fucking Macbeth this weekend.
Really?
He's probably not in Macbeth. I just pulled that out my ass, but you know what I mean.
Right.
All four of them were on the Late Late Show, weren't they, as well, with the
Yeah.
doing a sing along.
Turns out he's playing Macbeth. It's a bit of a heavy role for him. It's a bit of a turn, but
But yeah, the show just evoked so many emotions for me. You know, it was tense. You know, and it had me laughing. It had me almost crying. I popped for when Mike and 11 reunited finally. You know, that was a super nice moment.
great ending.
Yeah.
Where'd you see it going? Just 2 more seasons to come at the very least. Where's it going at?
It's hard to say, like you said, with the rift shut, with the door to the Upside Down being closed now. How?
So
we're not going to see the last of that, but I don't know.
Oh no, I certainly hope
get
not.
it. Yeah,
so we're gonna.
I mean,
you know,
I think the Mind Flayer is going to be the big bad going forward.
Yeah,
but
I guess it's clear
I don't
to
know
see
how
that
he comes back.
We're going to explore the other power people, but outside of the other people with powers, I think that there's a story that
we'll probably see a return of 8 and whoever else now. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd assume.
I think it will be those guys versus the Mind Flayer. I think that's how it'll go down.
Sure.
A week ago, we went to see Thor Ragnarok. This was a really, really fun movie. I liked it a lot. What do you think, Ben?
So much, I saw it twice. I saw it twice. I saw it again a couple of days ago. I absolutely loved it. It had action, it had fun, it had humour, it had Hulk, who I love in the Marvel universe. Very, very good. It had the sort of comedic relationship that we had in the first Avengers movie between Thor and Hulk, I felt. And so obviously we had Loki back in there as well. And I remember the scene where they're in the combat arena and Hulk is first introduced, and Thor's like, "Yes, he's a friend from work," and he just looks up at like Loki, and Loki's just like stunned at like, "Oh God, I need to get off this planet." But as the fight progresses, and then you've got Thor getting the same brutal treatment that Loki got in the first Avengers, being thrown around by his legs and smashed into the floor. And Loki just jumping back up and going, that's how it feels. I thought it just all these little ties back were great. I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, it was really, really funny. Like you said, yeah, action. Pretty cool villain in Hela, although we didn't see her too much. It was mainly about Thor and his struggle to get back and whatnot. Greg, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that the comedic aspect was my favourite bit. I think that
I know a lot of people are kind of criticising it for its heavy use on comedy.
Oh, I disagree. I think that the strongest aspects of the Marvel series can be its comedy. Thor number 2 took itself way too seriously and really missed the mark. Maybe not just because it took itself too seriously. I think the story wasn't that interesting. But
yeah,
that way missed the mark. Whereas this didn't pretend to be this ultra serious story. It's got a lot of characters that are really good at comedy.
Yeah.
Chris Hemsworth, like right at the top of that list as well, because he's really damn good at it.
Yeah, he's killing it.
So the comedy, it was genuinely funny. I'm not just saying that because, you know, to compare it to other things, but even compared to like comedies, it's a genuinely funny film.
Yeah.
Whereas
I had all three of us laughing in the cinema.
Yeah,
really
the story.
In fact, it wasn't just us three; it was the whole cinema. The whole cinema was laughing.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were.
I think the story tread a really good line, well enough to get me interested and keep me going.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't have to be mega serious the entire way through, and I think it alluded to enough to make Hela a worthwhile villain. Kate Blanchett's just fantastic in whatever she's in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously she didn't have an awful lot of scenes, but it was the sort of world building around Hela in the scenes that she weren't in that really contributed to her being a villain. Particularly, you know, the bits with Odin in was it Norway or wherever it was.
Yeah.
These things just really built her up and built up the kind of layered on that kind of Norse mythology quite thick.
Yeah.
Well enough to get me interested.
Those scenes you mentioned in Norway, as he's dying, as he sat there with his sons, I thought they were just fantastically acted. It was powerful stuff.
Yeah, Anthony Hopkins is a master, isn't he? There's no other word for it.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
He's just,
as we've said on many occasions, like his performance in Westworld and amongst other things he's outstanding.
Yeah.
Outstanding.
And just there's so many things that you can't really teach as well.
Mm-hmm. Subtleties in his...
Yeah, the little subtleties in the characters that he plays, and the little gestures and the little glances and the little moves of the muscle twitches in the face. You can't teach that stuff. That comes from experience. And this guy's obviously fucking decades of experience. He's as good as it comes in terms of acting. And he, for as little as he was in this film, and he's obviously been used pretty sparingly across all the films, but as little as he stole the scenes, didn't he? Yeah. Even next to really great actors in Chris Hemsworth and Tom Hiddleston in particular.
Definitely.
He absolutely just can't tear your eyes away from Anthony Hopkins when he's on screen.
Especially there was the part where he was obviously when Thor comes back, and he's playing off as Loki. I felt like that was Loki, not Odin.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's
good moment when Thor comes in and he goes, "Oh shit!"
Exactly. That's credit where it's due to Anthony Hopkins, because he played that off that other role within his actual same character really well.
Yeah.
And it's the way that he says some of the lines as well. So can you imagine if you read a line in isolation and you didn't really understand the context of something like, "So are you Thor, god of hammers?"
Yeah.
And you just think that's a dumb sentence. What's all that about? But the way he delivered it, and obviously the context counts for a hell of a lot in that place, because it was a very serious moment.
But the way he delivers it, there's a lot of weight behind it.
Yeah. Anthony Hopkins is brilliant. It's a shame we won't see him again, but I don't think we're actually going to get another standalone Thor movie, are we? I think
Probably not.
We're done after Infinity War.
Yeah. Bunch of cameos too in this movie with Doctor Strange, tied in with the post-credit scene of his movie with Thor. That was cool to see him.
Speaking of that, I sort of expected to see him a little bit more. I think maybe I got the wrong impression, but I thought that he was going to be featured a little bit more heavily.
I still think they need to think carefully about how they go with Doctor Strange within the Avengers and the Marvel universe, because I mean, obviously you saw how he played around with Thor. He played around with Loki, and these are gods in effect, and he's just playing with them. So we have this ability where he threw Loki through the floor and had him falling for 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
He could have left him there. So he could do that with anyone. He could do that with Hulk. He could do that with Iron Man. He could do that with Thor.
Yeah.
He's very powerful.
He's very powerful.
He is.
He breaks the scales a little bit, doesn't he?
Yeah, so
to
introduce him into obviously Infinity War or that sort. I mean, theoretically he could take on anything himself. I think just need to be a little bit careful with how they do it. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, Thanos is gonna have to be really fucking powerful.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That these guys, or they're gonna have to knock the Avengers down a peg. However, I imagine they're gonna do that anyway. They're going to have to somehow, because Thanos is going to have to get the Infinity Stones.
But I feel as though that's going to be the part one. I think part one's going to be the Avengers are going to be obliterated. They're going to be shocked and stunned, and then the part two will be the sort of, let's build ourselves back up and we can do this. I think that's going to be the sort of idea.
I suppose Vision has to die, doesn't he?
Probably.
To get the Infinity, well, possibly, yeah. To get his Infinity Stone.
I'm assuming that's what's keeping him alive.
Unless it's just sorcery's power, but whether he's actually an entity now, just without power, without it.
Because he was created with it there, so I don't know if maybe removing it would kill him.
I'd assume it would. I'd assume it would.
I figured it would, yeah.
One of the things I think links well with me saying that he's going to have to get the Infinity Gauntlets. Obviously, it revealed that the Infinity Gauntlet that is in Odin's vault is not real.
It's a fake.
Yeah, it's a fake.
Sat there and it's a fake. So the real one's out there. We know is it 5 of the Infinity Gems there?
Yeah, something like that.
And there's 6 in total.
4.
So you've got the purple one, which is in Guardians.
Yeah.
And that's now on the planet. I can't remember the name of the planet, whatever the planet's called. There's the Tesseract. There is the one that was inside the staff that's now in Vision's forehead. There is the Aether that's in the Collector's possession. So that's 4.
Okay.
Then there is... I'm struggling.
Wasn't the one from Doctor Strange?
Oh, yeah. Doctor Strange,
thing.
The amulet, 5.
Yeah.
And then there's a 6th, which obviously the theory is that it's Heimdall who's got
that. You mentioned Odin's vault, so we go towards the end of the movie. As Loki goes through to get the helmet of the guy. You see him stop and look at the Tesseract.
He does.
I think it's safe to assume that he has that now.
Yeah.
I think it's also safe to assume that huge ship at the end was Thanos's. So we can see where that's going.
If not Thanos's directly, then under Thanos's control.
Yeah.
Having saw it a second time and knowing that ending, with Loki going into the vaults, I was paying more attention to his whereabouts as well. What you're saying about the cube. After he looks at it and puts the helmet in the fire, you don't actually see him either board a ship, leave with Thor, or anything until he's in the room on the ship with Thor and say, "Are you really allowed to talk to you if you were really here?" That's the first time you see him after he does that. So where had he been and how did he get out? So obviously in that sense, did he take that? Very, very likely. That's the reason they did it.
It's also worth bearing in mind that there's been a lot of, I think, reshoots and a lot cut out of the movie. So maybe some of Loki's scenes have been cut. And that's just worth bearing in mind, because I know there was some fight scenes and stuff, like a scene with like the 4 Revengers on the bridge kind of coming together that was cut from the movie, as well as some other things. So I don't know, maybe in the original cut of the film we saw how he gets there.
Think we'll see those scenes in the special edition or something, or deleted scenes on the DVD?
Possibly. I saw an interview with the director saying about they recorded about 4 different post-credit scenes that he would possibly put on the special editions.
Sure.
Different stuff with the with the Grand Master being a part of the new Asgard and him coming to Earth and stuff like that. Obviously, that didn't happen. But speaking of the Grand Master, oh my God, what a character!
Yeah, Jeff Goldblum, man. I mean, he just plays himself a lot of the time, doesn't he?
He does, but he was turned up a notch on this. He was, I mean, talk about eccentric. Wow.
Yeah.
He killed it. He was absolutely great. I don't know if this is common knowledge that the Grand Master is the brother of the Collector. Do we all know that?
I didn't. That's quite interesting.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Okay.
But yeah, some just great characters. We need to talk about Korg.
We do. He was brilliant.
So,
character. Wow.
Just to pause, I guess, very quickly before we jump into it.
Okay.
That one of the things I felt like this tread the ground of, but obviously couldn't rehash, was Planet Hulk. So they're on the planet that Planet Hulk took place on. Sakaar?
Yeah.
The Grandmaster was obviously involved in the early bit of Planet Hulk before he rose to power. Hulk on the planet. Do you feel... I don't know if you're familiar with the Planet Hulk storyline.
Not in depth, no. But I know enough about it.
Suffice to say that it explores Hulk, as in, not Bruce Banner, as in the Hulk.
Yeah.
A hell of a lot more in depth. And they're never going to be able to put that to screen because there's like licensing issues or something like that. Plus, obviously, they've covered this ground, so in this cinematic universe now, that story essentially doesn't take place.
Mm-hmm.
I was a little bit disappointed, in a sense.
You'd like
because...
to have seen a full Planet Hulk?
Sure, yeah. Cause, I mean, Hulk's one of my favourite characters in this Marvel Cinematic Universe, just, well, for a bunch of reasons. He's up there. I kind of want to see him explored a lot. I really like Mark Ruffalo as an actor as well, so I think he's got a lot of stuff to do. But we're coming to the end of the journey with these actors now. Yeah, so these opportunities are going by, and it's a shame to see like the assets reused in a sense, because I think, what could have been. However, it was a great film, so I can't complain all that much.
So Korg, a supporting character to end all supporting characters. He was stealing the show whenever he was there.
He was
played by the director himself, Taika Waititi. Some of the best lines I've heard. What was the name of his little friend?
Meek.
What was that again?
Is it Meek?
Meek, the one that you thought he killed.
Yeah, it does. Oh, Meek. I studied him on the... What's the why he's carrying... Oh, Meek's dead. I've been carrying him around. I felt really guilty.
So good.
He just perks up. He's like, "Oh, Meek's alive, everyone." What was the question?
Yeah, he was a great character. You see one of his kind, I think, in the beginning of Thor 2. And there's a clip of I think in the opening of Thor 2, you see Thor on a planet, and he kills one of those rock creatures. Yeah.
Oh yeah, with the hammer, doesn't he?
Yeah, just obliterates him.
Smashes his head off with a hammer.
Yeah, perishable rock.
Yeah, but this movie was so much fun. Really, really enjoyable.
I tried to start a revolution. Only my mom and his boyfriend turned up.
If I had to give it a criticism, I think maybe sometimes they went for a laugh at the expense of the moment. For example, Asgard being destroyed.
Okay.
Now, I mean that's
I know what you mean. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, we had that great line about Meek being dead, and I stepped on and stuff, which is funny. Yeah. But that's still Thor and Loki's home, and everyone else on that ship for the most part.
But we can rebuild as long as the foundations are strong.
Yeah. Again, that was really, really funny, but I don't know. I think it took away from that moment a little bit. I get what Odin said. Asgard is a people, but that's still where everyone lived their entire lives, and now it's gone.
I guess it's still in service of the plot, though. It's still in service of the plot, as I mentioned with the Avengers. They're going to have to knock people down a peg, aren't they?
Yeah.
So I think that serves to knock Thor down a peg. Not got the power of Asgard behind him anymore. Maybe the people.
Yeah, but he just didn't seem to affect him at all. So right, no, we're good. Let's just go to Norway or wherever they're going.
I mean, to be honest, he seemed pretty chill. Seemed pretty chill the entire way through that his dad had just died. He has that short scene. He has a short scene where he's like, he's pissed off, but
real pissed, yeah. I mean, they had
neither
no
him
time
or
to breathe, did they? It was just
neither him or Loki.
He dies, and then the movie just keeps moving and moving.
I think there should have been something there where perhaps Loki was a bit more affected by it. Now, obviously, we didn't see a lot of Loki throughout the film. We saw enough of him, but not an awful lot. I thought it would have been an interesting thing there if Loki was the one more affected by it.
Yeah, that would have been interesting. I mean, because and that's the thing throughout it anyway. Like you think in the first movie, you think that Loki's betraying his family because he's really a frost giant and stuff. But I think in the end, you see that he's just trying to prove his worth to his father.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could have been good, but yeah. What would you give this movie a rating out of 10, Greg?
Oh, again, I feel like I'm a broken record with a lot of these ratings that we give out. It's going to be high again. It's going to be maybe even a little bit above 9. I guess maybe something like a 9.1 or a 9.2. I think it ticked all the right boxes for me. Could have explored things a little bit more. You know, I really love the Norse stuff that went on, but it struck a good balance. And I like that it just didn't take itself too seriously. It told a serious story under the guise of a comedy. And that was absolutely okay with me. So yeah, 9.2.
I would probably reiterate similar feelings.
Fuck it, let's all agree.
Yeah, it was great. Fuck it.
Gives a
It
shit.
was amazing. I loved it. 9.5.
We're all gushing as it is. Yeah, we love this film. It was really, really good. All right, yeah. On that note, let's wrap. This has been episode 3 of the Dig Site podcast, and we will speak with you soon.